Cancer, hello, welcome to Coffee, Sage, and Tarot. This is going to be your monthly reading for December 2025. We're going to go ahead and take a look at any challenges, any opportunities, what you should be releasing, and what you should be embracing as we head into the month of December. As you know, these are general readings, so take what resonates, leave what doesn't. If you feel a message is meant for you, lovely. If you feel like it's not quite fitting, just use your judgment, okay, to discern what messages are yours. And what messages are meant for other people. I do have 2026 year overview bookings available. Those are one-on-ones. It'll be about an hour to an hour and a half. If that is something that you're interested in, then just send me an email and we will make that happen for you, okay? But let's go ahead and see what December has in store for you, Cancer. All right, so challenge, Queen of Cups, discerning boundaries, and perhaps somebody's trying to push those limits, or it's an opportunity to see where those limits are being pushed, right? Where those boundaries are maybe not where they should be, right? What you should be releasing here, Two of Pentacles, this idea of maybe you've been really busy, right? December is just a busy month in general. And so perhaps we're releasing this idea of just juggling, like just barely keeping up. And then the Hierophant here kind of sitting in some structure, right? There is a duality associated with the Hierophant energy here, but it is really about this idea of sitting in where you are. And kind of planting yourself there. 10 of Pentacles, 9 of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles, and then that 10 of Cups. So that's really some beautiful energy here for you, Cancer, in your shadow. Okay, cycle completion, perhaps year-end completion, right? What did we do this year? What have we completed? What are we putting behind us? And overall, that energy with that 9 of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles, and the 10 of Cups behind it, it seems like you're satisfied with this year, and how overall everything turned out for you, Cancer. And that's really lovely. Let's go ahead and get some clarifiers. Let's get some clarifiers here for that Queen of Cups. Thank you. And one more. Thank you. Let's clarify that 7 of Swords, please, for Cancer. Thank you. And one more for that 7 of Swords. Thank you. Let's clarify that 2 of Pentacles, please, is what Cancer should be releasing as we head into December. Ooh. What should Cancer be releasing here? Okay. One more. Thank you. That's you. And for that Hierophant, as what Cancer should be embracing, please. And one more. One more, please. Okay, heading right into that Queen of Cups with the King of Pentacles and Justice in reverse and that 2 of Wands on the side. Yeah, it just feels like you're not, if, perhaps that with everything being as busy as it is, some certain things have gotten off track and you haven't really been listening to your boundaries, right? Or you haven't really been listening to yourself here because we've been so focused on the physical. And now it seems like you're in a place, Cancer, where you're leaning too far, perhaps being too materialistic here. Right? And so where the focus is on what's happening outside of you, or that materialistic success. You know, and say, for example, you made a decision in the past, I'm going to think before I act, right? Or that's really vague. I'm going to, I don't know, I'm going to wait a week before I make a big purchase and really take the week to think on any big purchases that I make. And then now that we have all these sales and everything going on, these year-end sales, you know, there's a really good deal, and then you buy something, and then you buy something else, and then you buy something else without giving yourself that week period, right? And so now we find ourselves in a position where we're no longer listening to ourselves, and some of these decisions we've either reversed on or turned our back on or are ignoring completely, right? And with that Two of Wands on its side, it kind of does feel like there's no thought to this. It's just kind of something has gotten out of hand here as it relates to that Queen of Cups. We're not listening to her, right? We're not listening to our intuition here. We're kind of just getting carried away is really what I'm seeing here as the challenge, right? Then we hop over into the opportunity with that Seven of Swords. We have the Ace of Swords, Judgment, and the Nine of Wands. Listening to ourselves is hard. Trying to implement a new perspective is hard, as well as seeing things that we don't necessarily want to see, right? With that Seven of Swords, seeing where people might be pushing our limits, seeing where we are pushing our limits, right? It's an uncomfortable feeling, which is why I think that Nine of Wands is there. It's an uncomfortable position to be in, right? But still a necessary one with that Judgment card calling there and being right in the middle, right? We understand that this is necessary work to do, but it's not easy work. It's not fun. It's not where we really want to be, right? It's uncomfy. And I feel like that's probably why leaning into your boundaries and leaning into kind of having more of that discipline in terms of what we're filling our cup with is such a challenge, right? Because it's uncomfortable to, well, I don't want to deal with this. Like, I just want to have fun, or I just want to, you know, buy that TV that I said I was going to buy because it's a great deal, and focus on that and where I'm going to put that, right? And how my home's going to look. With that new TV, I'm going to like redo my room, or, you know, my living room, and I have to buy new curtains and new pillows and this and that and that. And so it kind of spirals into something because we're not focusing on, you know, maybe the fact that we shouldn't have bought the TV in the first place, or who was encouraging us to buy the TV and why did we allow that to happen, or, you know, these types of things where it's just that confrontation that feels necessary but also uncomfortable, right? So that's kind of what I'm seeing here for that dynamic. Heading into that Two of Pentacles here, we have the Hanged Man in reverse, the Ace of Cups, and the Chariot here. In terms of what you should be releasing, yeah, this idea, I'm wondering if there's some indecision here, right? And so we're focusing on other things so that we're not, or weighing different things, distracting us from what we're really worried about, or what we should really be focusing on. Something like that, where we're making, perhaps for some of you, you're making mountains out of molehills. And for others of you, we're busying ourselves to distract from something that's really on our mind here. And with the Hangman in reverse, the Ace of Cups, and the Chariot, this is really quite lovely because it does feel like it's time to push yourself a little bit in terms of getting back on that horse. Getting back in that chariot, Cancer. with some new perspective, some new insight here, even if it is a little bit uncomfy, but putting that perspective into action and really embodying it, right? For example, with that, big purchase analogy, coming back to the fact, well, I told myself I would do this, and I'm going to hold myself accountable and understand that this is what I need, because I'm so easily tempted by these things. I know that I need to get back to giving myself a week to make this purchase, because I can easily go off the deep end with these types of purchases, right? And so it's just a matter of knowing that and internalizing that information in order to move forward in the best way possible for you, right? As opposed to kind of puttering along in the day-to-day, or occupying your day with other things. It's kind of like you're doing everything but this. And now it's time to do this, right? Now it's time to really focus on how to be the best Cancer we can be, right? In the Hierophant, in what we should be embracing, to clarify that Hierophant, we have the Nine of Swords, the Page of Cups, and that Two of Pentacles. Yeah, it just feels like, I don't know if there's somebody here that's trying to distract you, really, or somebody that's keeping you distracted, or you're allowing that, or you're kind of with everything going on, you're kind of letting yourself be carried away by, I don't really know what to give my energy to. There's so much going on. I have to do so much here. And so there's a little bit of a struggle in remaining firm in what you're trying to do, in how you want to present to society. Maybe there's somebody that looks up to you, or you look up to them, and they're trying to sway you in some way that doesn't feel proper, or something along those lines, where there's some sort of discomfort here in how you're showing up as it relates to somebody else. And we don't really know how to move forward. I'm wondering if this person is this person, and that Seven of Swords is not really knowing how to move forward with this person, and not just having a disconnect here, and trying to get on the same page and have some new insight and wisdom here. But it's very difficult to wrap your head around, perhaps even their perspective, right? With that Four of Cups, the Eight of Wands, the Lovers, and the Star here. There's this idea that, so the Four of Cups is the last card in you're the 2, 3, 4 of Cups, Cancer, and so the 4 is the last card in your kind of cycle of cups. So it just feels like, I wonder if we're moving, like, very much your energy wants to move forward here with that Eight of Wands, Lovers, and the Star. It's almost like there's a disconnect, or we're just tired of kind of existing here. And our energy wants to move forward. It's almost like, okay, we're just going to move on from this. It just feels a little uncomfy. And it's almost like let's get back to loving each other. Let's get back to remembering what our purpose is. Like, let's kind of put this in perspective a little bit. And perhaps that's what that Ace of Swords is. Let's put this in perspective a little bit of how much or how little this matters in terms of not really understanding not really understanding the other side of this situation or the other person's perspective here. Um hmm yeah, or kind of this idea of is somebody trying to force you to do something and you're kind of saying I don't want to do that and I'm okay doing it my way. Well, the opposite of that is also true. This person is okay doing it their way as long as you're not hurting anyone, they're not harming anyone, and everybody is safe. There's different paths for everyone, right? And it feels like there's an opportunity for you to kind of understand, okay, I'm going my way and they're going their way, and we don't have to agree on, we don't have to go walk the same path, but we can move forward together with this understanding that we love each other and, you know, we can be there for each other kind of idea, right? Just feel like the reading took a turn a little bit. Let's go ahead and get some final thoughts here for you, Cancer. Strength, Page of Pentacles, Temperance, Queen of Swords, and the Empress here. So yeah, with that Strength card, right, having this understanding that we need to know ourselves and remember what works for us, right? But also have that understanding that what works for us doesn't work for other people. And we don't need to exert power or control over others. We just need to exert control over ourselves, right? And of our own behaviors, our own thoughts, our own actions, because we are the only thing that we can control. We can't control anything else in this world. So turning that work inward and holding ourselves accountable in a way that can be a little bit uncomfortable, but works better in the long run, right? A little bit of that discipline. With that Page of Pentacles here, right? Just having a more grounded sense of understanding here. It feels like maybe you haven't been as grounded, right? Especially with this kind of energy here with Justice and King of Pentacles in reverse. You know, kind of letting, like I said, like being perhaps a little bit more impulsive, being, you know, maybe even quick to judge as well, or just really trying to force your thought on somebody else, or somebody else has been trying to do that to you, right? Or you've been in that kind of back and forth battle. With that Page of Pentacles clarifying your opportunities here, there's an opportunity to recognize that, come back down to earth a little bit, get grounded, and have this general understanding of this is what I've been doing. I need to acknowledge that. I need to acknowledge how I want to move forward. And then putting, you know, some solid steps in place to make that happen. But being a little bit more practical about it, right? But still gentle with yourself and gentle with the other side, whoever that situation, that other person, just having a little bit of grace for that dynamic, right? Temperance coming in here for that Two of Pentacles. Yeah, it just feels like whatever we're kind of occupying ourselves with, it still feels like a little bit of a distraction here. And so Temperance is coming in to say, what are we really, what's the real balance here? What's the real focus? Because it does feel like it's been too much. The focus has been too much on the physical, the material. So how do we bring it back to the internal, right? And making sure that our mind is at peace, that we are at peace, that we're feeling balanced and, in control of our emotions, our actions, all of that, right? And again, it's by having that general understanding of both sides of ourselves. And even too with this imagery, right? He's standing firmly on the ground, this idea of being grounded, being rooted in who we are and having that understanding that we can accept the good, the bad, the ugly in ourselves, then we can do that for other people and have that grace for other people. Queen of Swords in the opportunity here. Yeah, it just feels like there's something that's really bothering you about your relationship with somebody else here. And it feels like you're trying to help them, but perhaps that help isn't, perhaps they're not looking for that help or asking for that help, right? And you're trying to give them options or whatever that is, and they don't want that. And so that Queen of Swords is kind of showing up. How do we, with some new wisdom, right? Maybe we need to take a step back. Maybe we need to, turn that advice inward. But either way, there's a lesson here. And there's a truth or a general understanding here that Spirit is trying to push forward for you. We have the Empress, the King of Swords, the Knight of Wands, and the Shadow, and the Two of Cups. Yeah, it just feels like approaching this dynamic or this relationship here just from a little bit more grace, a little bit more understanding, right? Again, with this idea that there's, just because something works for you doesn't mean it's going to work for somebody else, or it doesn't mean that, that's even a priority for somebody else, right? And so we can be stuck in, and well, why don't they understand? Or why can't they just this? Or why can't they just that? Or we can move on. And it seems like your energy wants to move on for the betterment of this dynamic, of this relationship here, okay? You deserve sugar, not salt, evil queen. Perhaps some words were said, some arguments were had, right? And that could be part of the challenge of moving forward, right? How do we get back on track? How do we put this behind us? Don't seek anyone else's approval. Yeah. Perhaps that's something that's been weighing on you, right? And perhaps that need for approval is why we've been a little bit more materialistic lately. Stand up for yourself. Perhaps that's as it relates to this dynamic here, right? Both sides need to stand up for yourself and feel there is very much a desire to be heard. But in order to move forward, there's certain things there's compromises, right? With any dynamic, there's compromises. Start a revolution. Interesting. Yeah. Whatever you're doing, you have to do it for yourself and not for anyone else here. And perhaps you spent so long seeking the approval of others here that you haven't given that approval to yourself, right? Anything else here? Every hurricane comes to an end. Take yourself out on a date. It seems like, things are clearing up for you. It doesn't seem... This seems to be occupying the majority of your headspace here. And if we can kind of zoom out of this dynamic a little bit, Hierophant is Taurus energy as well. So perhaps the person that we're in conflict with is Taurus or has some Taurus in their chart. If we zoom out of this a little bit, we can start to focus on other things as well. And perhaps we do need to give this a bit of breathing room, right? And focus on other things and allow our energy to kind of come back to this at a calmer time, right? So Cancer, that's what I have for you as we head into December. But this one took a turn for sure, but we got there in the end, and I appreciate you taking the time to stop by for this final reading of 2025. It's crazy. Thank you so much for joining us. I wish you all the best, and we'll see you again soon. You take care.